Let me know when we have.
Columbia.
A lot of brothers and sisters are coming.
Yeah, my girlfriend, she's
When-
telling me
when-
she was black.
Five.
Actually, when Trump
Four,
became president, I was
three,
with Canada,
two.
my house in Canada. I'm serious, dude.
Welcome back to the Art of Conversation on Eargasm Radio Network. Before we left, we were discussing the highs and lows, talking about what we saw on TV last week, anything interesting in the news. And before we left, we were talking about 45 and his foolish antics. What were you saying, Bill? Dollar Bill. What were you saying?
The last thing that he tweeted that yes, he admitted that he is under investigation for the fire in Comey. And I just think that it's just foolishness on his behalf to constantly tweet information, and he's digging himself deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I believe he's not going to make it 4 years. That's just my belief.
I say also that's what he actually stated, but that's his form of communication to the people.
Right.
So that's what he gonna continue to keep doing. To keep tweeting,
It is so
keep
unprofessional.
texting, whatever he do.
It is
But that's
so
a different type of form
unprofessional.
of communication than Barack Obama was doing.
Well, I'm sorry, not just Barack, but any of the
The other
presidents that preceded him. There was no president that you could pick up the newspaper and as antiquated as the newspaper is, still when you pick up the paper, everybody is saying how much of an idiot this man is. He absolutely has no coup. He has no respect. He has no professionalism. But then I wonder if this is a show because he is a businessman.
Yeah, and he's also a television personality.
Exactly.
And the thing about it is, okay, you know how when you do something and then later you realize that it was jacked up and you don't want to admit it, right? So I wonder, the people who voted for him, I mean, 70% of them gotta be at home like, oh my God. Oh my God, do you see what's going on? You know, like, they're never gonna admit it, but
Right.
that is the United States. This is the worst decision as a country that we've ever made.
Amen.
Agree.
This is the worst decision in this country. It's embarrassing. That's the number one.
It
thing.
is
It's
embarrassing.
His behaviors when he goes overseas is so embarrassing. When he pushed that guy out of the way, the NATO. What was he, the president?
I know
It was a
that's
smaller
not
country.
that's not the only
Push
thing
that man,
though.
but I mean, but when he did that, and it was on the camera when they showed
He
it. It
sat
was
next
so
to the woman and did not want to make any contact with the lady. He absolutely see. This is the problem that I have with this man. This man can't even look you in your eye. And a man who can't look you in the eye is a punk all day. And so you can't even make eye-to-eye contact with anybody that you're dealing with because you're ashamed of yourself because you know the stuff that you say is stupid when it leaves your mouth.
Also, what really gets me, just like the worst thing I see from him and the way his character is that you are married, but your wife
Always behind.
Always behind, but at the same time, like sometimes she don't want to hold your hand, and so if you got a dysfunctional relationship with your wife, that's really
How you
something.
going to expect to lead the country?
Lead the country, seriously.
If you can't lead your own house correctly, you can't lead our
She
country.
didn't want to live with him in the White House. She was
Seriously.
like, I'm staying in my condo,
In the
baby.
words of my mother, because we was talking about this like last week, she said they probably been pinning her up to the wall and said, "Look, let me tell you something. You gotta hold his hand."
They probably have.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
They probably
didn't
need to
tell
go
her to do
nowhere.
it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it again. I dare you. Do it again.
Right. Let me tell y'all something. This is the worst. This is the worst thing I have ever seen. This is a true testament to the sign of times. You know how Grandma used to always say, "We living in the last days, baby." We living in these are the last days, and I know that. I don't say this to my kids because I remember when my parents used to say it. I would be scared out of my mind. You're like, "Oh my God, the world is ending tomorrow." As a kid, you don't want to wear that burden. Put that burden on your children. But you can see that these are perilous times. I mean, these things that are going on right now have been spoken. If you're a Bible believer, because everybody does not, but if you are, these things have been spoken from the beginning of time. And so, does it surprise me? No. But does it scare me while we have somebody like him in office? Absolutely. And so my hopes, again, I'm the one that's always like, I promote the world peace. I am promoting world peace. I do believe that it can happen. I do believe that we can find unity amongst the races. I just believe that we have to have that one person, you know, that can help to guide us. But before we even try to relinquish that duty to somebody else, we got to search within. You know, we just got to be the best people we can be in the meantime. And before.
I want to say one last thing on number 45 is, as Christy said, the thing that I will continue to say is that he operates on pride, and the reason why he will not last because he's going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing because he's operating in pride. And when you operate on pride, eventually you will fall.
Yes.
So what we're saying, and actually his actions have made others more emboldened. If you see, I'm not just talking about the racism itself. I'm just talking about people's actions are now more. You know, America has had problems and issues, but it's always been hidden. Now we're seeing it coming out more into light.
It's supposed to be. You know, things that are done in the government, we're not supposed to know about half the things that he has tweeted.
Exactly. That's what I'm
You've
saying.
never known about it before.
You
You've
know,
never known the details.
But
the
you're
way
not
we do now.
supposed to,
Right.
you know. And I don't want to know. I want you to make your money and solve the problems that I don't need to know about.
But see,
I wanna
that's
rest-
the thing.
I wanna
He's
sleep
gonna
easy.
He's going to step on. He's going to piss off the wrong people. Eventually, it's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
And when it does,
Yeah.
he's going to be the sacrificial lamb.
He's already pissed off.
That's all I'm saying.
The Chinese that he need to lead them be because
Right.
the people was already pushing the button to set off their little weapons.
Right.
He wants to promote another war before
Right.
he gets up out of anything else. And he's just like, war is business to me. Makes
Yes.
me money, whatever.
And that is how he
And
feels. He just feels like it's all business. It's no, you know, he had now.
That's why a lot of people actually voted for him because he was kind of busy,
Business, yeah.
especially the other nationality. That's why a lot of them really voted for him. Even though a lot of us stood up and voted for him, I can't see why. But at the same time,
Not us.
it's just real serious when they're dealing with this dude. I'm like, I really don't let none of what he do like really affect me or my living situation.
Right, exactly.
Because it's irrelevant. He go do what he got to do. He go be. I just say he just go be up out of the 4 years if he don't get impeached or because he up on the investigation and stuff like that. That was real quick for him to be up on the investigation and just
I
like
agree with
I'm
you.
like, what the.
But I think that that's a sign of the times as well, because for him to be under investigation so quickly from being inaugurated into office is a telltale sign that he really may not make it to impeachment. Because if you piss people off to the point where they're willing now to say, you know what, we're tired of your crap, and now we're going to call you on the carpet, there is somebody back there. I believe that whole scandal, that I don't know if you guys know the premise of the show, but I really believe a lot of what I see behind the scenes with that comes from someplace. These writers just they're not that brilliant, I promise you. And so, I mean, they're not that brilliant. And so I believe that it's a strong possibility that before he is impeached, he will probably be assassinated. You know, it's about time because we have not had
I can't
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
No, I wasn't saying that.
I was sensitive about it. I was sensitive about it when we went on break about when they had when the Republicans had the practice thing, and
it's
then the guy was shooting.
Yes, I'm
I was
telling you, it's
hoping.
going down.
I was hoping that. I hate to say this.
Don't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it. And we're on radio too. Don't say it.
Can we
And God might be listening.
But hold on. Here's the thing about that. You can say that. We're not FCC regulated, but hold on. Here we go. Here's the thing about it. I'm not planning to assassinate his ass. I'm not planning to assassinate him.
Yeah.
But I do believe that he ain't gonna make it to impeachment.
You know
Now,
what?
you take that as you will.
He make you feel like he has a whole lot of secrets from a whole lot of
Yes.
people. So now they collectively saying, what can we do to ease him up out of here without bringing a lot of attention to
Exactly.
everybody
Oh, yeah,
else?
they-
That's
So we're gonna keep letting them foot and say, oh, okay, he made that mistake.
That's what the
so
tweet-
he
what
can't
he
use
said
their
earlier.
Not gonna make it 4
stuff
years.
against them, but collectively they need him gone because he don't brought too much attention to everybody
Everybody.
around the
That's
table, and they
what I'm
like,
saying. He's
look
not gonna
at
make
here.
4 years.
He done
Well,
messed
you
up
know what?
everybody
He
money
done
on the end run.
Yeah, you're right. He has messed up everybody's money
Did I-
because these people are not going to get reelected. Have you seen the Republican town hall meetings?
They
They have
get
turned
bucked.
into a fight.
They get
brawl.
bucked.
Oh my
I be
God.
ready. Let me tell you something. I'm like low key, low I'm a little rah-rah low key. So I be looking for them. I be waiting on somebody to be like, you know, flip a bird. I mean, they it gets so heated.
heard about
I be
the body
excited.
slam?
Yeah, I was watching one, and and I hate to say this, but the Caucasians had stood up and started singing, "We shall over." I was like, now y'all know it's the end of the world.
They know they done made a mistake, and they just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, we
I
thought he was
missed
gonna
that
do better. We didn't want this
Yeah.
woman up in here,
I'm gonna have to
but
show
now
you.
we don't got
Yeah,
this
that was what it
fool, and he
was.
don't
Yeah,
really.
that's what it was.
So these are
Yeah.
this is the setback of your choices. This is
Yeah.
what you get.
No, I was totally not interested in a woman being in office anyway. But I digress because I don't want to get.
I took the lesson
I don't want to
too.
get in trouble messing with.
I was trying to-
I don't know. I actually wanted just to have a woman and see how she would do with our nation.
I think
But
that
she would have done better than what he's doing.
Yeah.
Is
Now,
it
you know,
from New York? That's why.
Oh
No, she
Office is the model.
She would have kept things status quo,
know what?
and it wouldn't be in such. You know,
I
wasn't happy with
I mean,
the
what
candidate.
Bill is.
I really think that
Okay, yeah.
No. Both of them are from Arkansas, but they both they've been living in New York for years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have the offices and stuff. That's what so they consider themselves being New Yorkers now.
Okay.
I really think having
Although
a
him
woman,
is
a
from
woman
Chicago.
as a president, it actually go really undermine the security of the whole United States, because when you have a woman in office, other countries go be looking at you
That's
in that
true.
type of form of fashion as a weak having a woman.
Yeah, right.
But not
Why
really.
looking at us now?
You know,
Yeah.
you read about
As a
that.
joke.
We damned if we do, damned if we don't.
But not really,
I don't
because
believe
some
that.
in some other countries, remember over the last couple of years, they've had women come into power as presidents and
I know, just like over in,
Prime Minister.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
not
So
like the
it's-
United States though. The United States, we are in debt with a whole bunch of individuals, other continents and other states. We are in debt, but like all these other continents, they really ain't in debt with a whole bunch of other continents
Well,
and
here's
states.
the deal, though. I mean, I look at it like this because I try to be very quiet when I say this, but I really just think that you're right in the term of the way women are looked at in America. And so, I think that it is cultural. I think that these countries who have prime ministers that are women and presidents that are women, their whole background is different than what ours is in America,
Yeah.
in the Americas. And so,
You're right about
I
that.
agree that we would be looked at as weak because we are here as women here in America. We are already looked at as a weaker vessel, and so I don't know that. I agree. I think it will undermine everything that the American country is trying to accomplish. So here's what I say to that, though. As the lesser of two evils, you don't vote. That's me. I didn't.
But then if you don't vote, you don't complain.
I really
I-
If you don't vote, you don't complain.
I couldn't because I could
I
not
hate people that
believe.
say that. How did he become president? Did you vote? No.
Yeah.
Right.
But I
So
wonder
what-
how many people really did not vote and did not tell anybody that they didn't vote because of that,
That's a lot of
that
people.
comment
A lot
right
of
there.
And then a
did
lot
not
of people
vote.
voted and wrote crap on their ballot. I mean, really,
Somebody
what
wrote
do you?
Peter Pan on that.
It's just so stupid. Okay, so let's get to the topic of the day because
Okay, what we got,
can
John?
stay on 45.
For 45 years.
For 45 years.
45
Trying to
years.
undo this garbage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So today's topic is domestic violence, and so now I'm going to say this because I don't know a lot about domestic violence and I don't have a lot of experience. I do know that I went to college with a girlfriend that was a very close friend of mine, and I can recall one incident where the young guy, small guy, he just used to pop her every once in a while, and it went from him just tagging her every once in a while to him trying to bolt her into a room and kind of keep her locked up. And I think that what it was for him was that she was such a beautiful girl and he was enamored by her beauty or whatever, that he just lost his mind. I think that it often is a chemical imbalance in people when they feel like they have to lash out and put their hands on somebody else to try to get their point across. Again, I say this from a perspective of somebody who don't have any, it's not my professionalism, I'm going to leave it to the professionals, but I am of the mindset, and I say this, and I'm going to throw my rock and I'm going to run backwards. I feel like this: women, do not put your hand on men if you don't expect for them to put their hands on you.
Exactly.
And
Right,
so
right.
that's the leading, if you get in my face and you touch me, and if you get in his face and you touch him, then you have to, you privy to the party because you stood up in his face. But at the same time, you know that as a man, your strength is way more powerful than hers. So you have to exercise the right to say when enough is enough and walk away.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to leave this conversation to us all to discuss, but I don't have a lot of experience in this area. I just know that it's just not right
And you know, it's heartbreaking how many women, as far as the abuse. I saw. Do you remember about a year ago the young lady in Chicago, and she now this story, you know, was just one of so many. But what really got me was that the story went that estranged boyfriend had came over to give her the keys. You know, they were breaking up, and he stabbed her. Right, he stabbed her like 15 times, and then he left. Well, she was calling her father. She called her father, and her father was busy, didn't pick up the phone. Then she tried to call, a good friend, her cousin or something, and they didn't pick up. So she died calling. Wow. And I remember reading that story like a year ago, and as I was reading, I was like, I was in tears. Cause I was like, you know, because all I could think of was, she tried. She was reaching out, and yet. But we hear these stories, and so I look at as domestic abuse that the abuser is on a power trip. He is on a power trip. He's trying to control this woman, and you know he's trying to take power away from her. And you know you hear these stories, and it's like, my goodness, you know, and you would think that in this day and age that it wouldn't be as bad, but it's. I think statistically they were saying that like every 30 minutes a woman is. I'm like, wow, even today.
I really believe it's more.
Right, every 30 minutes a woman is abused.
Yeah, I believe it's more, like maybe every 30 seconds. And you know, and I say that because we don't know the abuse that's going on that's not reported. You know, I work for the police department in Chicago. I worked for 911. I was a dispatcher, so I did get those calls. But when I got the calls, the women would call, even men, that's another issue, a whole issue, you know, would call and say, you know, he's beating me, send the police. Okay, what's the address? Just send the excuse me. just send the police. Ma'am, what is the address? Where are you? You gonna ask me a million questions? Oh, you're going to jail today. This is her talking back and forth to him. But you really don't want the police.
No, because you're not giving them the address.
Right. So it's so much going that's not reported. And I do definitely believe that it's more than every 30 minutes. But men are abused at a much alarming more rate than we realize.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
that is true.
I have a friend right now who is being abused. Wow. And he does not realize that he is being mentally abused. Well, somebody to break him down, break you all the way down.
We don't talk about that enough, though.
You know, that's abuse.
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to take some deep breaths as I say it. So I am a person who's been through that.
Which one? The physical or the mental?
Both, you know, my son's father. And how all that occurs is, yes, they take mental control over it. They want you to isolate you away from your family and friends and people and make you feel like nobody else wants you. And they want to get you to where you only depend on them. And I was there with this man for so long and just thinking, and I made my own money, but he made it seem like, okay, he hit you and okay, I'm sorry, I just get upset. Take this money and go shopping and you know, I'm sorry. And then they want to tend to you, but then they do it again. So to anyone, if they hit you once, they'll hit you twice. Don't believe it goes away. But then when you want to get away, so my sister and her husband and my mother came to get me and my son. He was still little. And he thought that her boyfriend, then now her husband, was not a guy with me. And he was just so mad and wanted to lash out. And I'm like, just let's get the little things and go.
How long did you stay with him?
We were together, about 5 years.
How do you stay 5 years?
And that was the thing.
That's what I want to know, though. I like, for me, my girlfriend, she told me that she was like, I think that he just got angry. And so for a person like myself, when I hear someone say, I think he just got angry, I'm like, okay, but he didn't just get angry. He got physical. So anger and physicality, those two things are totally different. You can be mad all day long and never raise your hand.
Well, we were younger. When you're younger,
And
I was
you
younger,
feel like
and
you
that
don't
was
have
that
any
mindset,
options.
and you just like, well, he's doing everything. But once I was able to get out of there, then I felt like, well, I don't know how to take care of myself.
See, that's what I think I was trying to get
Because
to.
now-
That's your mentality. Your
Yeah,
mentality
because-
is I can't survive without him.
Yeah.
Because now, what do I do? How do I take care of this? And he said, so all you know that you have left in your mind is, well, this is what he said. And if someone keeps saying negative things to you every day, eventually that's all that you know and understand. You don't hear anyone else saying, well, that's not what you are.
May I ask you a question? So, what was your journey on seeing the value of who you? I mean, what was your personal journey?
My whole journey has been, oh my God.
Did you have a process
I
time? So see, because for me, I want to know from your aspect, when you realize that this man, because did you surmise that he was crazy?
So this is the thing, when you get to your breaking point, when you feel like now you wanna fight back, that what options you have for you, but they're the real wrong options, like they had people in there said snap, when you want to kill somebody, that's when you need to go. So when I was at that point where I'm like, he really want me to cook his food? He really want me to bring him his drinks? Because now I'm like, the only way I can get away is if I kill him. And I have to do it quietly. How do I do this?
So were you premeditating those types of things in your mind versus how do you
I
premeditate?
would sleep with my son in the room with the door locked.
How do you premeditate? See, this is the part that really makes me curious and gives me motivation to always empower women. And I say that because as you're premeditating how to get away, how are you not premeditating how to be okay for your kid? That's when your mother instinct kicks in and says,
That's not
I gotta
real.
be okay for my baby.
I'm gonna tell you something. You know how you say you never dealt with, you haven't had this in your life,
Right.
Okay, my mother. I hope she's not watching because I'm sure she thinks I don't remember. You know, I had to be 3. My father beat her into unconsciousness.
Oh wow.
You know, we've never talked about it. Never, ever, ever talked about it.
But that was the key right there. You
That's
said you
it.
saw that with your mom.
Yeah, so from the very beginning, you know how you said you had a decent family structure and all this, you know, and I'm not saying people who don't have a decent family structure, because I did. My mother was a very strong person, you know, strongest woman I know right now. Most women already have daddy issues. So, you know, we go on with dealing with somebody, and I've had an abusive relationship. My first husband, mentally breaking you down, mentally, but you looking at him like, well, he really is a good person.
I don't know. I don't look at a person
You know,
as
because
being a
you
really
was
good
already
person.
strong.
young.
You was already, see, I was already like unsure. Like I had no,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I didn't know about men.
I'm understanding.
You
You're
know,
saying
you're
that
young
that's
and
not what
imbalanced.
you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so let's talk about this with the men. So I feel like this when you're saying, you know, 2 things. The first thing you said, when you see your mom as being the strongest person you know.
Yeah.
But she endured that. How long did she stay?
She left, I think, when I was 4.5, 5 years old.
So you were 3. So it's safe to say like 3 years. So then you and you both had these types of relationships. On the flip side, you know, you don't really know a person, and people always say, well, did you see the signs? You know that
see
you
them
know
all
you
the
see.
time.
We choose to overlook these things.
Yeah.
We choose to ignore these things. Is this an indicator that we don't have self-worth, high enough
Yes,
self-worth?
it is.
Right.
It is.
So this is why I say, and I can't say never. My daughter's father suffered from PTSD, and so it's a different type of situation. It's totally different from just a domestic, right? But sometimes it stems from that. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times in our generation, because I think we're all about the same age, our parents sweep things under the rug. You know how in black communities you can have child molestation, and in our family they say what goes on in this house stays in this house. You better not take this out of the house. I think that when we see these types of things, this is a direct impact on our self-worth. And so I grew up in a house with my mom. They were not married, my mother and father. My mother was the strongest woman I knew. But what I found out later was that she suffered from manic depression and schizophrenia, right? So we're talking about something totally different. So these appearances, they appear, how they say it, the images in this mirror may be closer than they appear. And so we only are going by what we see. So for me, when you say my mom was the strongest person I know, she stayed 3 years, I don't equate strength in that. There's no strength in staying.
This is the thing. First, this is the thing. For most of it, when it starts. So my grandparents raised me. I'm just in the household, the only girl. But at the same time, in every, I guess, black person's household, there is something extra that's going on. People are being touched and you don't talk about it. You may think of it as they were just being friendly, but it molded the way somebody's mindset started. So with all of that, then you move on to being more promiscuous. And then people look at it and say, oh, she's being a whore. But the whole time, your mind has been set to say, the only way that I can feel good is if somebody touches me.
Because you're looking for love.
And then you think that that's the only way.
What your perception
And
of love
this is how
right.
I can accept that. And well, until you reach that point where you said, this is
until you learn. It's a learned behavior. Until you learn that this is not the love that I deserve.
Right.
You don't.
You're right. It don't come overnight.
Yeah,
it's not embedded in you.
I was with my kid's father for 10 years until it's just like the sun came out one day and just said, not
today. And I agree with that. Now, see, let me talk on that, because when you start talking about physical abuse, PTSD, these things are real deal, everyday occurrences, and even in our black men, you know, it stems from the mentality of, can I make it out of my environment? And so you don't know what that man was going through before you came into his life, or what his parents was implanting in his head, or if he was a victim of the system, if he has been locked up. You know, you make one mistake and it follows you your whole life, and you know what I'm saying. And so here I meet this woman, and this woman gives me the warm and fuzzies, because you have to give him the warm and fuzzies, right? Because he wanted to make you his, right? So you give him the warm and fuzzies, and then as soon as you don't agree with something that he says, or his mentality or his thinking, then he's like, oh no, she's just like everybody else, she's against me, and then he lashes out. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you just got men who just beat women because they just roll as Negroes. You know what I'm saying? And so when you have people like that, as a woman, how do you stay in a situation like that and think that you can't do any better? Because anything has to be better than getting your tail spanked.
And I know, and I understand what you're saying, because, you know, I didn't get my tail spanked, but to defend a woman who is in that situation, some women are just not that strong to just walk away.
I know.
They just not that strong.
Men meet you at a low in your life.
Yeah.
When I got with my son's father, I had just lost my daughter. So they wait till you're vulnerable and you're like,
or is it that they were waiting? Were they waiting, or was it just a opportune time? Sometimes they're not praying on you.
Well, it's like I knew him beforehand, but then at this moment, I'm just at my weakest. I've lost my child. I'm just, you know, she was there. So here it is. You're gonna, okay, and I'll do all these good things, and all you see is, oh, well, he's so, you know, supportive of me, and then your whole mind is just whatever he tells you.
Right.
What
I want to talk. I'm sorry. What I want to know, what were the signs that you started to see that you ignored? You talked earlier. What were some of the signs that you saw early but you ignored for both of you guys?
For me, it was irrational talking. Like, we can have a conversation, and if he had said something like it wasn't right, if I'd be like, well, no, you can't, that's not right, or you know, it's like, wait a minute, calm down. Or the response would be something irrational, like 45 would say. It would be so irrational that you're just looking at them like, that's not even real. What are you talking about? But that was an early sign. And you just, after you deal with it and then years go and you start thinking back, you're like, yeah, he did do this. You know, it takes a while.
It does.
It takes a while.
From what I see from the woman's standpoint, from being abused and neglected and treated all type of ways, and put that in reality with history, because women also endure a lot. They endure when they go through pregnancy.
Yeah.
They endure to a whole
Women
bunch
are the
of things.
strongest creatures
yes,
as well.
They
man.
are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
And I tell all my, not just black, white, I tell all women, y'all are the strongest. Y'all are way stronger than men. Way stronger.
They are.
Because they can work 12 hours, come home, cook for their kids, read them a story, put them to bed, wash clothes, iron their clothes next day, and do the same thing over again. Us men, we couldn't do that. We'll give up after the first couple months. I mean, I'm hiring somebody for this. That's why I always say, every time I do a show, I always have all the single women stand up. And I say, I want everybody to give a hand to all these single parents out here. Because and I always say, y'all are the strongest women, and we appreciate you. We really do.
Man, we
Appreciate
do
you. We
appreciate
really
you.
do.
That's scientific too as
Yeah,
well. Just
yeah.
like I give an example on when they're like about women, like the way they build,
Yeah.
the structure. That's why they got hips. That's why if you was to tell a woman to hold a baby up, or you tell a man to hold a baby up at the same time, the woman will endure longer than that man would, because she got these big wide hips. That's basically from our heritage. We can put them on our hips and be there all day long, and that's where they come from. But I can really understand about abuse, because I grew up in an abusive household. It, like my father, he actually like beat my mother to a pulp. I had to get a gun. She had to get a gun. He actually beat everybody in the household. Nobody can speak about my father didn't do nothing like that.
How
Like,
long
I had
was
to
he in
run
the
and hide.
house?
Oh, my father, he was in there for a long time. That's why I can see where y'all coming from. And it also depends on like single women and married women. Like married women will probably hold on even longer, because they married. They say they took an oath, so they go die by that oath. And that's if you really believe in it. And it took me a while to overcome all the trauma that I went through with my dad. And seriously, it took me a long time, and it actually broke me down as a child. As I developed myself growing up into school, and I took that stuff to school, just like she's saying earlier. And I was like, yeah, you don't know what these kids done been through. That's why they act out in class, and some of them be quiet all day. You don't know what they've been going through or what they done been through. So you got to really sit down and break and actually have a conversation or a dialogue with your child and try to, because it's good to open up and release. As women and as men don't like to release in a conversation type format anyway towards a woman, but he should, because that's what actually lets you free.
People try to come to you and talk, and there are so many people out there who want to judge you, and it's like, how can you judge me when you don't even know?
We was just talking about that earlier.
I'm standing here by the graces of God, and you don't know why. So if somebody don't knock you upside your head, you don't want to tell somebody, what should I do, because they're going to say, girl, just pack your stuff and go. It's easier said than done, because then that person's going to know somebody who's always going to know where you are, and then they're going to come and kick somebody else's door in and kill you, because you think you're going to get away from me when I just told you something. And the biggest thing, like you said, what signs, the baby mama that said he put his hands on her. If somebody tells you something has happened to you, trust and believe it's going to happen to you too. It's not, well, he ain't going to do this to me. Yes, he is. If he did it to them, he's going to do it to you. He's going to do it to the next person, because that's what they do. They want to control, and the only way to break the control is to just walk away and let him have what he has and just leave it alone. But when you got kids with a person, it's hard. So I tried to allow my son to be in his life, but it only made things even crazier, because he wanted to put it off on me like, you're the bad mama. I said, if
Another form of abuse.
Can I say something about that? Because you said the bad mama part. Do y'all remember the story just happened about Miss Price that was on the news? The lady who got jumped out the fiery van on the freeway.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's actually one of my alumni, and this just happened. And
On 360, right?
yes,
the man with the kids and the kids.
he shot her 3 times,
Yeah.
and whatnot. And and she one of my Facebook friends too, and she told me it started off just by she confronting him about some wet diapers. It started off from something little, but this dude probably been emotional. You don't know what type of reaction. That's why when you was talking about hitting on women, a woman shouldn't hit a man and all that type of stuff. You don't know what be going through these guys' mind. They quick to snap and kill you just like that.
And take
I'm
just
like,
one thing.
you take one little thing if you've been going through a lot, because the black man got the hardest out of anybody on this world, especially walking in America, and it's kind of hard. So they go through a lot, because I go through a lot, but I know how to humble myself, and I know how to like really, because I done educated myself, and I actually done practice on my patience, because a lot of people out here don't have no patience.
And that's it. You know, I look at the whole domestic, you know, I'm a statistic type person, but before I read you guys the statistics, I just really like to focus and hone in on not to take away from women at all, because this you know, domestic violence, really the percentage is high, and it does really affect the women more so than men. I think on the, just to speak in line to what he was saying, the black man or the man in general, they have it so hard because stereotypes, and then the expectations that they have for themselves, and then the role models that they had as kids coming up, i.e. the missing father, if the father was there, you know, or if the dad was in the house, he may not have been in the house all the time because he was too busy working or whatever. When he gets home, he's stressed out because it's still not enough money to make the ends meet. So we're looking at all of this pressure that is put on these men, and pressure bursts pipes. And so what I say, you know, when I was doing mentoring and I was talking to the women, I always am very effective in saying that you have to be very cognizant of what that man is going through. You have to see the signs. And so not saying that you work against him, but you kind of work around him sometimes so that you don't get him to that pressure bursting point. As far as the ladies are concerned, when you're in this situation, I have no advice, because like I said, I have no experience in this. I would never judge. I just know that seeing this makes me one, very thankful and very prayerful for somebody who can share their experience with us and share with us how you overcame, and see that you too still suffer a little bit, because you know you wear it on you wearing it, and it's okay. It's a healing process. You know that you don't ever have to be in that situation again. Just because you was in there before, there is an opportunity for you to prevail.
I want to say something to these two ladies too, that both of you are very strong, and you know the Bible says, you know, Joseph, when he was sold into slavery, and his brothers, and they said, you know, he said, what you meant for evil, God turned around for good. And even though this pain that you have gone through, which shouldn't have never been, but God can take that pain and he can make something out of it by you helping other ladies.
Right.
I mean, what happened shouldn't have happened. But the thing about it is, your story to tell, you ladies, your story to tell is a strong, because somewhere right now, even listening right now, is some mother, some single, or some married woman that may be going through what you guys went through, and she's trying to figure out a way before she kills this man.
Right.
Because, you know, let's be honest, you know, because it's typical what happened. You know, she can listen to your voice and say, okay, you know what? I got to figure out another way to get out of this. Because the thing about it is, she has to get out of it.
Right.
I always open myself up to, anyone can talk to me at any given time. I said my life is an open book.
There you go.
Ask me a question and I'm prepared to tell you and talk you through, this is where I was, this is what I went through. It didn't break me.
Right.
And this is where I am now.
Right.
So you can't diminish what someone is going through.
No.
You can always listen. I don't judge. I can tell you these things because it's something I've experienced. So I would never speak on it if I didn't know.
Right.
So again, to anyone, you inbox me and say, hey, can we just chat? I don't go and tell anybody's business. I'll tell you, hey, we could talk all day long. If that makes you feel better to tell you, maybe you can try this or maybe you can try that. Because I was much younger. But as you grow into age, you know, this is not what I'm going to deal with now.
Right.
So another man could never put his hands on me again and actually live. That's going to be it.
And I believe her.
Right.
I believe her.
So, seeing that I really haven't had the opportunity to kind of join in on the conversation because it is a full house. I'm trying to man the computer and so forth. But seeing that I've never been I've been affected from domestic violence, you know, because my mom was abused when I was a child, and from 5 to 40 years later, it still has like a strong effect on me. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
it is.
And so seeing that I was just watching it, I can only imagine what you all experienced that I experienced in the physical aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? And so in that situation, I guess more or less, like they said earlier, you know, as women, as Archie was saying, women are very strong women. You know, a lot of things that you all deal with, there's nothing you know, God has given us broad shoulders to carry the world, you know.
Strong, man.
But other than that, you all got it, you know. And it's so crazy because, you know, as we watch men walk around with the pants sagging, only women have that control to say, hey, look, we're not going to deal with that. But yet still, there are apparently some women that like it because they're still doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
You know, but in essence, in all of that, I guess more or less I was just trying to lead into to hear what Archie came
That's
to
what I
say,
was about to
because
say, yeah.
Archie in return said that you had some domestic violence take place within your circle or your situation. I just want to know what prompts you to kind of do what you're doing, because you said you were starting to play, you started advocating for and so forth.
Yeah, actually,
Let me hold it for you.
it's kind of hard to, because, you know, I say it, but my cousin died from domestic violence. She was dating a guy, and he basically, they have money. A lot of these women that go through domestic violence, a lot of the guys that abuse them do have money, do take care of the women. So what happened with my cousin, she met this guy, met him at a club, we was out one night, and she met the guy, and you know, he came up to her, started talking to her. We had a bottle service, and he actually paid for our bottles. He's like, you know, I got that for you. I said, no, you good, man. He said, no, he said, you have a beautiful lady like that at your table, I want to pay for it. So that kind of impressed her. And it impressed me because I saved like $4,000 that night. But it was you know, he came to her as a sheep. He came to her like real nice, and pressed her. And then after that night, she gave him her number. The next day they went out, and after that, I didn't really see her too much anymore. And then come to find out, he was abusing her. And I'll never forget that I got that call that night. And my cousin, she was like a daughter to me, because I practically raised her, and I helped her pay for college and everything and all that. And when I got that call that night that that she was in a coma, that he beat her to death. Still to this day, I'm never the same to that. That's why now I commit myself on saving other women that's going through domestic violence, making them aware that domestic violence is real. You have to get out of it. You know, and my goal is just to, make women aware, get women out of the situation. I wrote a play about my cousin. It's called Love Doesn't Hurt. And it's about a woman that got, that was abused. But how I did is that she did get out of it. She got help, and she gave herself to God, and she got out of the situation. A lot of women don't do that. Mm-hmm. They don't get out of the situation, and they don't, and they end up dying, and they end up committing suicide, because it's like, and I don't want that. I don't want the same thing to happen to everybody else to happen to my cousin. I want people to actually to get help and to get out of this. And I wanted to make stronger laws against domestic violence against women, and that's why I'm doing my plays. I'm doing them all over, and I'm doing my play next Saturday. And I just want everybody to come out and support and take a stand against domestic violence and say we're tired of it. We're not having it no more, and something has to be done. And something's going to be done. And I don't know if y'all know, but our mayor, Rollins,
yes.
He's a domestic violence advocate.
Yes.
That is
And
really
yes.
So, did a luncheon.
Yes. So us men, I expect all us men. We have to stand together. We have to stand together, and we have to help our women that's going through this get out of this. If they need a shoulder to cry on, we have to be there for them. Let's stop turning our heads.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's stop being real men. God put us to be the head. Let's start acting like we are the head.
Right. That's correct.
You know,
That's
so
right. I agree.
you know, and I just like I said, I hear what y'all saying, and I'm glad y'all did get out of the situation before, you know, and you actually did get like like something major really happened. And I hope y'all be, witnesses to give help to other women that's going through this, because there's a lot of women that's going through. It's not just physical, it's mental.
It is
Mental,
a lot of women.
yeah, yes.
And first, we have to recognize
Yeah.
that is domestic violence.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you hear so many women, oh no, we was just fighting yesterday. And girl,
Be playing
no,
around.
you wasn't
Nigga,
fighting a
nigga,
grown
nigga.
man. You was getting beat up.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't fight a grown man. I don't care how crazy you are in the streets. You can't beat a grown man.
Right.
So that's the number one. A female has to know that, yeah, you was getting beat, and it's not a joke, and it's not nothing to.
It's not cute.
Right. That's the thing. It's not cute.
He's not just jealous.
Right.
He's not just showing you how
Right.
much he cares.
Right. He
Because
called
if he
me
cares,
all
he's
day
gonna
long.
treat you
That's
like
a
a
behavior
queen.
that
Right.
is. That's one of those things.
Right.
When he call you 12 times in a row,
Ooh, yeah.
that's a
Sign.
That's a
yeah.
sign.
That's
That's
an
crazy.
You
indicator.
have to first make sure that we have ourselves in order, and where, I'm broken, but I move forward. You have to make sure that regardless if you meet somebody and you're in a situation, you can walk away because I can handle myself on there.
Right.
You're not depending on him for 110% of your life to
Yeah.
move
That's
on.
another problem.
If you don't have just that little part, a lot of it, younger people they see, well, back then, it's quick money. Someone's dealing drugs and quick money, and they can do everything. But then, along with that quick money and this person taking care of you, it's his rules. I can have 5 women to do what I want and coming in it, and you don't have anything to say because this is what you wanted over here, not that. So remember what choice you make. Do you want the money or do you want the respect?
Right.
So make sure that the respect is there first, and then you have yourself financially set that no matter what, you can pick up, go and move around. Even if you got to go stay in a shelter for a couple of days for somebody else to plan something to help you, or just anything. Because everyone sees different things going on in people's lives. And you might want to speak up, that's not my business. Make it your business. Just take somebody out and just say, well, are you okay? And ask questions.
That's what I was
I'm
saying
just
about
question for
before
Will.
because
Yeah, well, you just mentioned, you said that, your dad was in the household and he was there for a long period of time and he beat everybody in the house. So as a kid, coming up in that environment, I know that you kind of felt a little helpless.
Right.
And did he threaten you if you ever told somebody?
I really never told nobody. Like, it came to the point, like, he pulled a knife on me and everything, like, about to kill me in my own house. This when I was, like, 18 or 17, that he was still in the household. We had to run and hide from this guy all the time. He used to track us down.
But you know what? Did you all
Yeah.
think that it was normal? If
No, we
you didn't know anything
we
else,
was the
you know what I
kids,
mean?
so actually we were just still falling by faith behind our mother.
Right.
And also because we had to be there. We didn't have nowhere else to go but to that house. But at the same time, my mama really didn't just speak up on it. Like, he did so much crazy thing. I can't even speak about some of the things because these are other parties in my family, other siblings. But I can speak about my personal issues with this dude because it was really hectic. I'm talking about busted eye, bloody. He come to the house, whoop us for nothing. I'm talking about not even just whoop us. He get water hose, telephones.
Your mom probably
I'm like,
felt that she wants to protect you, so the way she had to protect you or keep you
The only-
in a safe, maybe in an
It's
environment,
run.
and she took
Yeah,
the beats for it because
And,
she's like, well, maybe if I just take all the beats, he'll let them go, and this is the only place they have to be. This is all I know, so I'm just gonna take it for their sake.
Yeah, it wasn't
And,
really
you
like
know.
that, but cause he beat everybody. It doesn't matter. Like she couldn't just take the beats like that. Like, it was real serious. I'm talking
So
about.
how do you find yourself when you get angry? Because behaviors are learned.
Yes,
So how do you find
I
yourself?
went through that little stage because I know what you see, visualize or socialize, because the
project what
brain
you
is the
see.
associated organism. Whatever you focus your brain on, whatever you socialize with, eventually you gonna end up doing it as well. So around, I say in my early 20s or whatnot, I did put my hands on, like on my baby mama. I did put my hands on my baby mama, but I haven't put my hands on my I know other women since then. When I was younger, yes, in my teenage years, I like treated women like you ain't nothing, you know. But at the same
So,
time,
but how's the breaking point?
The
What
breaking
made you
point-
not do that.
I felt I could say the emotional part about it. You know, I actually really got into my heart, you know, because I started loving more. When I got older, I started like something came out of me, like I started loving more, I started appreciating more. So that's what really was my turning point. And then once I got my daughter, like, that stuff really.
So it was
my
really
daughter,
just inherent. It was inside of you.
yeah, it was inside of me.
Now that you have
Seriously, I
your
think
daughter,
it's love.
you
Yeah.
you want to make
decision.
sure that you sit and talk to her and
And
really
let her know.
make her realize this is not a way to say this person's gonna love you if they put their hands on you for any reason.
Yes, I teach my daughter
You
that all the
don't-
time.
you
One
know.
time, just like she said earlier, one time he'll definitely do that again. So you don't
I
want to keep
think-
yourself in that type
I
of
think
relationship.
too, also focus on the men that are the perpetrators when they don't get help. That's the key.
Right.
When they don't get, there needs to be a push for these men to get help.
And we
You know,
focusing on the wrong
counselors,
thing.
right,
Seriously, like
right.
let me say something. I want to say something when you was talking about that earlier. We are actually focusing on the wrong thing. You want to target the men, but the only way we go lower this percentage is target our youth. We need
Yes.
the guys who are educated with that type of mindset to target the youth,
Youth.
because our youth is our future. And the only
Yes.
way you go hit that, you can't teach a grown man nothing because he'll do whatever he want to do. So we got to target the seed.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it is. If we don't do that, we go always live in it. Because right now, today, the role is reversed. Now, a lot of more women want to be a man. They want to fight.
teenage
I'm gonna knock
girls
you
are
out
in
now.
school and they fighting their boyfriends.
Yes,
What is that?
You see that more prevalent too.
Like,
Yeah, you
do.
do see that when this is role reversal. And
Okay.
when people don't, when men do not understand their roles and women do not understand their roles, you get confusion like what we see
Exactly.
now.
Yes.
Transgenderism. You know, that's just, you know, it is what
Yeah, you know, these kids, I mean, it's starting so early now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was
Seriously,
starting
man.
early back then, but now we just see it because
Epidemic
everything is
now.
social media.
Right.
But the boys are fighting the girls are fighting the boys. It's like, what is going on?
Back in the
here?
day, it was there, but not as prevalent. Because
Because-
you know the way we grew up, my mother say,
No,
"Boy,
no.
if you put your hands on, I'm a," you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So
No.
it was
I
out there,
saw
but
it.
not as it's more broad now.
Yes.
Because we
Because
just hear about we
social
have
media
video to see it.
and
now.
social media,
Yeah, that's one part.
That's one part, but that's
Yes.
not the whole
Well,
thing.
I remember being
Radios and other-
like 8 or 9 years old, and the lady next, or my mama was
The
a
block.
beast. My mom was a firecracker. So
Right.
my mom stabbed my stepdad. You know what I mean? And you hear, I see now that we're talking about this. I remember these things. Women were that way
Oh, it
back
did
then.
happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
The lady next door. The man pushed her over the balcony. You know what I mean? And you would hear those types of things. It wasn't as
But
widespread because
that's
of
what I'm
social media. You have these
You know what?
videos.
I'll say people say social media we won't blame, but I just think too it did happen. But I also think that our morals, because
That's the whole formula of social media.
Yes,
Because listen,
morals. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I agree with you.
the morals, because there's no more the big mamas are going away.
That's it.
So-
That's it. That's
Big
what I'm
Mama's
saying.
on the way.
Mama 35.
Grandpas are going.
Yeah.
Grandpas are going away.
Right.
So what is teaching our kids today is
Social
TV,
media. Okay.
radio,
Yeah. I get
the
it.
things they encounter in school. So basically, the kids are at school for babysitting. So the mothers bring them home,
Yeah.
go to school. They don't worry about nothing. They don't even go to the school to even
Get a
see what's
grade.
going on. And so they getting taught by social media. So that's a really high percentage. Because right now, today, you can ask a kid today that. Matter of fact, a kid will say, "I believe what they say on TV."
Yeah.
That's what
Sure,
some
they
people
should say
say.
that.
And I'll tell you a story right now. One day I was walking through the park. I was going through the park, and I seen a little girl. She around about like 17 at the park with a newborn baby. And I guess it was her newborn baby. As I got closer, I seen her showing a TV, a little cell phone to the newborn baby in her hand. As I got closer, I started hearing, "Motherfucker, this, and all this." On this phone, socializing this little baby at a young age. So eventually, if that keep on happening, that's what's going to be embedded into this little girl head.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously.
Absolutely,
So it's
absolutely.
seriously.
So let me ask you this then: do you believe that media, I guess more or less, society itself has caused people to kind of diminish the gender roles, the
yes.
relationships?
Yes, the
Yes.
relationship
Because I
really
know
is.
growing up for myself, New Jack City was like the movie I watched every single
You try to
day.
portray some of that
Oh
stuff.
my goodness, Nino Brown. I was Nino Brown. to a T, down to the way he walked. But then also too, even back in the way where I speak to older guys who said that they will watch like Superfly, you know,
The Mac.
the Mac, you know what I'm
movies.
saying? So those movies played a big role in how they kind of tried to emulate the thing that they see on TV. So media itself has played a strong role
Yes,
in
it
that.
has.
So as a result of that, do you think that women that cause a man to feel like he's up here, but then as women, they are now being portrayed in a lot of dance videos, you know, they would just kind of mistreat them.
Yeah.
You know,
It's been like that
making it
since
rain.
slavery too. Like slavery television was the same thing. All you seen was negative things coming from the black folks. Seriously, like I'm like, okay, where's the positive things?
So basically, it is safe to say that we must target the youth,
Yes.
and moving forward. And then for those people who have experienced or are victims of or are the aggressors, I think that, you know, what you guys were saying earlier, we have to bring a heightened awareness and we have to speak out. We have to stop turning a deaf ear and a blind eye to the things that we see. Now, I think that when you start talking about personal relationships, you know, Kim is, oh my God, you know, I think something might be going on over there in her household. You know, I say, hey, Kim, something going on, you okay? If Kim says, hey, I'm good, I'm okay, you know, ain't nothing going on, and you know in your knower, as they say, when you know in your knower that it's not that way, then I think that you have, because people are not as open and receptive to accepting that help. And so, you know, maybe you might have to take it a step further and try it a different way. But I know that the worst thing we can do is to not do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
gonna
let
say
me-
just keep trying
so,
because it's actually embarrassing.
It is very
So
embarrassing.
let me ask you this. So for example, with you working at the dispatch and you receive a lot of phone calls, and a lot of times they never gave up the address. They would just call themselves, I guess, trying to scare off the boyfriend.
That's basically what they were doing.
So
Yeah.
as a result, because the abuse is so prevalent in the community or in in the homes of domestic violence, how do we get to a person that want to help but then they really don't? Do that make sense?
You're saying get to a person who wants help but is ashamed to say they won't help.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I were somebody who knew someone who needed help, I would first try and find out places for them to go, shelters or that kind of thing, and then get them some phone numbers to free counseling, church counselors, pastors, all that, and then approach them. If they turn me down, I'm going to keep approaching you. I'm just going to keep approaching you in different ways, because you know how to handle people who you are friends with. You know there's a way to talk to somebody. And I can ask you a question, JK, and you can say, nope, but I know it's the truth, you know. I'm just going to go around it and ask you a different way if I want to. But I just like you said, you have to want to do it.
Right.
You see somebody in a situation that needs help and they are not receptive, just go a different way.
And
Pride
that-
is the number one killer. In our
It's
country.
easier
Yeah.
said than done because again, people are so
You're right
like
about that.
they want to judge you.
They do.
Yeah.
You're in the rock
But
and
you
hard
know,
place. You're in the rock
really,
and
you
hard
think
place.
that people want to judge you? That's what it is. You
it, though.
think people want to judge you because it's embarrassing what you're going through. But people don't want to judge you. If somebody is constantly asking you, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, what you doing?
It's
They're
kind-
not trying to judge you. They're trying to help you. But women have to stop making excuses, because I was in it, for these men, and men have to stop making excuses for violent women. She just mad. You know, she bust me upside my head. Dude, look at this. Come on. That's not healthy.
Who said it was easier said than done? You said that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is, because you can look at a lot of examples. You can look at the homelessness.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people try to help them. They want to stay in that situation because they like it. They even love it. So it's gonna be hard for a person to actually to get themselves out of that situation,
Yeah, it's hard to
because
get out.
That's what
you
I'm
gotta.
saying.
You know the old
Great
saying,
point.
when you get tired, you're going to get tired. When you get tired, when you're truly tired of something,
Yes.
Like,
then you,
You
right.
reach
Like
your
me, I
own
was-
breaking point.
I was under addiction for 16 years. I started smoking PCP at 16, and I didn't stop till 4 years ago. And I was going through a lot of turmoil when I was a monitor. I was doing all type of negative type of stuff. So, and what actually led me in that direction to get off that stuff, I was like, I had to look myself in the mirror, just contemplate to see what the heck is going on with myself. And then once I did that, I had to really just start communicating with others who actually done got themselves off that.
So let me ask you this: do you think that the way that you were brought up caused you to lead down that path that you went down?
Oh yes, no father figure in the house, no person there to guide me or direct me in the way that I needed to go. So what I did as a young boy, let's hit the streets. Let's play with these other boys, see what they doing. So that's basically what led me down that path. Seriously, because I had mostly all girls. My two brothers, they was strung out on crack. You know, seriously, and my daddy, like, it's just crazy, man.
You just had a whole background full of dysfunction, and then it took you until you reached your point and you looked in the mirror and saw that you didn't like the person that was in the mirror, and you decided to make a change. Well, for women, I think it's a little bit different, especially when you're a mom and you're a victim, because the only thing that we want to do honestly is to take care of our kids and provide a good upbringing for them. And so if we know that financially we cannot make it happen on our own, then it's more probable that we'll stay in a domestic violence situation, because he is the breadwinner and he is bringing home the money. And even if you feel like he's making the money and you're making money too, you still feel like it's just not enough. So I think I understand. I don't offer any I'm not patronizing in the conversation or even being condescending. I just think that, when a person says no to help, you can't just stop. You just have to, like you said, we just have to keep approaching them until they are willing to, and maybe, we need to do some research. I think we have to be accountable. We really need to be our brother's keeper. And having said that, I just think that it all stems from being able to trust. And women, we are the number one key factors. The component to this thing is we ain't trusting nobody. You already took the trust when you put your hands on me. So now I'm not trusting no girlfriend. I ain't trusting no mama. Mama might be the one that can get in because she's going to offer the love and the compassion. But you have to wonder too, because if mom has gone through this already, you might have to help mama. Y'all might have to help each other.
But then and another problem is, a lot of women, they're not going to tell their mama because they know that they ain't tied. And so you tell your mama and you ain't tied and you still with him, your mama going to keep telling you, nah, he didn't beat you up, he didn't did this, he didn't did that. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that is another issue why women won't tell, because they ain't tied.
No.
Yeah.
But you hear in person's voice, you hear in the person's voice exactly what's going on. You like if you haven't heard from a friend in a long time, you wonder, oh, I haven't talked to them. Let me look. It's just anybody. If you haven't heard from them, you used to communicating. Reach out and say, hey, are you okay? Because it could be something, and you don't know. And people keep it to themselves because they like, well, I can deal with it because this is just that way. But you need to be able to ask questions. You need to be able to call people, not wait for them to call you. I try to send text messages out to the people that I know just to be like, hey, because I know. But if you don't ask, you will never know.
But even when you ask.
And they say no, you say, okay, well, let's do lunch. Because you ask and they say, no, it's okay, I'm all right. Yeah. Because you hear me say, I'm okay, and you know that I'm not, because you know my voice.
And I know you, and I'm going to tell you, we went through this. Me calling you, 3 or 4 times a week.
Until finally, I got to say, okay, this is because, and that's kind of sometimes what it is, because you want to dismiss it and just say, no, I'm okay, I'll just deal with it.
Well, but when you're embarrassed about something and you're confused yourself, you don't really know. Like I can't speak to the domestic violence, but when I'm talking about just when I'm in my normal state, if I am confused I've been at a point where I don't know what to say. I just knew that I needed to call somebody, and I needed my system. I needed my core people around me. And I can remember very clearly being able to say, I don't know what to say. I don't know exactly what's wrong, but I just know I need you. You know what I mean? And we're so prideful that we gonna make you, the person who's going through makes you drag it out of them. And you gotta know that, everybody does not have the same tenacity. So when you have somebody that's there and that's reaching out, you got to take advantage of it. Because if you don't, that person is going to walk away saying, I tried.
But after everything you've been through, and you figure you're that stronger, it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
Because you've already taught yourself that, well, this person tried to break me, now all I got is me. So
I do see that. That's how I felt. I mean, all I got is me.
It takes a lot to be like, okay, I'll just talk to him and tell him. But because I'm always the one that's calling everybody else saying, are you okay? Let me talk to you. So if I'm saying that I'm now the stronger person, to be like, I'm really not, I'm the weakest person.
You're not, though.
You're
You're not
not.
the weakest link at all.
That's a
You're definitely
cultural
not.
thing with
It is.
black
He
folks,
said
black
that.
women, all of
Mhm.
that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I experienced it with one of the closest friends I have. Never would have expected she would have been in that situation until I observed that he acted a fool in front of some people, like in front of we were at a class reunion, and he just lost it. And I ran up on him choking him in front of folks. So I never would have expected it. She never would have told me. I had to see it with my own eyes. And then, so I think in addition to calling people, you have to be present in their lives. You can't just be on the phone. You got to make yourself available. You got to go over. You got to I was like, people ain't answer the phone, I'm rolling up. I need to see what's going on.
Right.
So you have to not only call.
That's the whole concept of love, because if you really love somebody, because love is actually a verb, it's an action word. So action must come behind what you say. Seriously, if you really want to do something for somebody or some people, you must have put some type of action behind it. Develop something, because I really want to really impact the community, developing something for our men, young men, even middle-aged men, some type of environment or establishment that they can come and gather together as men and learn from one another. We don't have that in our communities. Where do you see a group of men that gathered up, learning and interacting with each other? You can't find it nowhere in the South.
You can't get them in the church like that.
At my church we do.
Yes.
At my church we do. At my church, I'm gonna say that.
But why is it only focused on the churches then? Why is the churches? There should be other community things. There's other things besides church you can put people in, because a lot of people ain't really just bound to that religion type stuff. So we need to work on every aspect, not just one.
Because the simple problem is, for the most part, is everybody got something. Everybody going through something.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so in a situation when you're trying to pull someone else out of their situation, you have to understand, take into consideration a lot of times that they could be going through something too. They're just trying to use all their energy to try to remove themselves and say, hey, look, when you reach out, no one likes rejection. I don't care how I go. You know, if someone reaching out to me to say, hey, I'm here to help you, and you,
That's absolutely true. I experienced that.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that too. They reject you.
Because everybody's been hurt. Everybody's scared to let themselves go. Everybody wants to be able to be strong for somebody else. But no one wants to accept responsibility to let somebody else come in and say, hey, look, I'm here to help you. We got it. I got it. And like Krista just said, we're so prideful. You know what I'm saying? We're so prideful.
Well, that's all we have a lot of
stiff-necked
times. That's all we have left a lot of times.
But at this point,
hold on to that.
where are we getting with it? It's not getting us anywhere.
Pride.
It's causing more
There's
damage
nothing good
than
about
anything.
pride.
I mean,
because
Really, it's not. It's confidence is one thing, but nothing good about pride.
Nothing.
Nothing
It's
about
not.
pride.
Pride is a deterrent. It stagnates you from excelling to your highest capabilities. And the reason I say that is because, a lot of times we are prisoners of our own minds.
Yes.
And so we have to learn how to step outside of ourselves to kind of come into interaction with other people who, like you said, have gone through it. Be an open book, but you can't be, how they say closed mouths don't get fed. You cannot be silent And you can't be so prideful that you're worried about what the next person is going to think about you either, because a lot of times you never know what the heck they going
For
through.
real.
Because
Right.
sometimes
Everybody
all
going
it
through
takes is for
something.
you to say one thing. It's so funny. I'm on the phone yesterday having a regular conversation. We touched on one thing, and this girl brought up drudged up some stuff from my past that made me look at my daddy different. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, you know, you think about it years later, you know, as you progress, that's what it's supposed to be. As time goes on, you should progress, and you're going to have to break that, because that
Cycle,
too
seriously.
is a cycle. If we have been forced to believe that pride is a good thing, and it's not. It is not.
Right.
You know.
I'm gonna touch this is the last thing I'm gonna say, but you know, you had said something, and you said that women, if you're in the situation, make sure you have yourself together. Even if you don't have yourself together, if you don't have yourself together, and you ready to walk.
Mhm.
Find you a shelter or a church or anything. Just walk, because one hit could be the last hit. And if you know, I was talking to my father-in-law one time, and he told me, "What is your first priority in your life?" And I was like, "My kids." And he said, "Wrong." Wrong. Your first priority is yourself,
Yes.
and then it's your
How many
kids.
times have you heard me tell you?
Right, because even if you on the airplane and they giving you instructions, they tell you to put that thing on your face first and then help somebody else. If you are not straight for yourself, you cannot be straight for your kids.
That's
Amen.
the truth.
That's true.
I want to also say that there is crisis hotlines. There are different facilities that are out here. You know, we ever so often will give the suicide line number as well, but you know, we are a digital age, and so a lot of times people don't want to talk. They don't know what to say. They have fear that they sound stupid, or you know, again, like you said, people are judging them. If you don't want to talk about it, text somebody. There is a trained crisis counselor out there somewhere that's ready to answer your text messages. You can text DS to 741-741. It's free. It's 24/7. It's confidential. You guys, if you know somebody who may be going through something, we implore you to please don't turn your eyes to them. Don't, you know, close your eyes to the situation or be deaf to the tones and to the signs that you hear coming from them. And I guess that's really pretty much it. It's about that time as usual. We always approach that time.
That's what I'm gonna eat.
Well, we eating
Without the rest of us. What's up with that, man?
But it was a good show.
But to sum it all up, one thing we have to understand and realize that the hardest thing in life, not the learning process, but it's the young learning. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of us kind of deal with the things that we've been that's inundated us as we were younger. You know what I'm saying? We were taught how to be a certain way, and a lot of times our parents just kind of repeated the information. And we're not a society that we do what we say, but do what we see. And we've seen so much, and I think we've allowed ourselves to become so engulfed into that information that we have just soaked it all up, and we've become that product. You know, and I think as we get older, we start to understand and realize that old dogs can learn the tricks.
Yeah.
You know, we can learn the tricks.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, like you said, we have to learn to love ourselves first. That's the first thing we have to do. We can't love no one else until we learn how to love ourselves. And with that being said, I greatly appreciate you all.
We appreciate lunch.
Yes.
You
All right,
the
Chief.
lunch lady
Thank you.
today. She a lunch lady today.
Lunch lady.
Actually, I'd rather have some Papa Do's.
He had to go there with you.
And the Papa Do's later.
I'm not taking him to Papa Do's, and I don't have any Papa
Yeah, popcorn.
Much for doing us every
Tim,
weekend at the
thank you so
same
much.
time.
I appreciate y'all, man.
Orgasm.
I'm gonna start checking y'all out, man. I got y'all link
Really, it might,
and everything.
You might want to turn it off.
Okay. Oh, okay. And so, we finished?
Yeah, we're done. It's 4 o'clock.
All right, y'all. Great show.
Tell me.
Can I get one of
Great
your
show.
pieces? Matter of fact, can you pass that folder out? I got a pen and get
Yeah.
anybody want to put some information down on her so I can contact y'all?
Oh,
I
yeah,
sure will
sure.
appreciate it.
I don't have any business.